Okay guys, so why do comic Kickstarters fail? Guys, if you are new to the channel, my name is Matt Garvey. We are here to talk about making comics today, and one of the big parts of making comics in the modern world is Kickstarter and crowdfunding your books to help get them funded, because as we've discussed on this channel before, making comics is bloody expensive. Just a disclaimer though guys, this video is going to be split over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Reason for this is I've analysed quite a number of Kickstarter campaigns, and if I was to go through everything that I was going to do in one single video, it's coming up to like 40-50 minutes. I don't want to bore you guys to death over 1 week. I'd rather do it over substantial weeks, so I'm going to split it up. So the plan is I'm just going to do a quick introduction of why I'm doing this video in this one, and all the subsequent videos we are literally just going to kick straight on with the topic. So you know, this is the intro, so here we go. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this video, well, not only have I backed 158 projects on Kickstarter over the last couple of years, but I've also successfully failed at running my own as well. That was 5 years ago. I haven't done it since because I'll be honest with you, I didn't enjoy the experience. I found it very, very stressful. But as times change, as I've grown as a creator and look at, other ways to, grow my audience to help fund my books, I'm thinking about dipping my toe back into the Kickstarter arena again, and I don't want history to repeat it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at, my project, and I look at the 158 that I've also backed as well, and I want to see if there was, any trends, any correlation to, why certain projects succeed and why certain ones fail. So don't worry, this isn't going to be an advert for my new Kickstarter or anything like that, because this is nowhere near ready. This is literally me, doing some pre-research about something that I'm thinking about doing in the future, and I thought it may be able to help you guys, if you're about to run a Kickstarter campaign, or if you are thinking about doing a Kickstarter campaign in the future. Now, I love data. The reason why I love data is because data does not lie, and that's one of the reasons why I like doing YouTube videos, because I get to look at the data behind my videos and see, what works and what doesn't work. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to apply this logic to, the campaigns that I've backed on Kickstarter to see if I can, get it to work with that as well. And it was incredibly interesting to find out what I did. Okay, quick confession, I did analyze, 158 Kickstarter campaigns, if you can believe it. Got a lot of time on my hands at the moment because of COVID, but, only 131 of these projects were actually comic related. The others, were like films that I'd backed, or, like apparel and stuff like that. So I'm trying to keep this as comic centric as I possibly can. And also guys, these videos, as a disclaimer, what I'm going to tell you doesn't 100% guarantee that your project is going to be funded, because there are other factors that, are out of your control when you do Kickstarters. But I think if I can highlight some best practices, it's going to give you a much better chance of hitting your target. Also, I'm going to be sharing data from the Kickstarters that I've backed, but I've purposely removed the names of the projects because I don't want to embarrass any of the creators, that didn't get across the line. That'd be incredibly uncool of me, and I'm not going to do that. So what I've done is I've blacked out all the names, so this is going to be 100% anonymous. Okay, so what did I actually look at when I analysed these Kickstarter campaigns? And do you know what, guys? If I go through these and there's anything that I've missed that you think, is really important, to look at when analysing, these campaigns, let me know in the comment section, and maybe I might be able to build that into a later video. But just as a backbone for the research that I've put into this, I looked at each project and the creators behind it. I looked at how many Kickstarter campaigns they've run before. More importantly, I looked at how many they've personally backed as well, because I wanted to see if there was a correlation of creators that haven't actually backed or supported anyone else's campaigns and the ones that do loads, and see if people return the favor, should we say, you back mine, I back yours, or they look at the reputation of a creator and gone, oh, that person not only supports other creators, he makes their own, or she makes their own, or they make their own. So I wanted to include that as well. I looked at how many months they ran for, I look at how many days they took to fund, I looked at what their target was, I looked at what they actually achieved, I looked at the number of backers they've got, I looked at the average pledge amount, and then I looked at the number of tiers they had. I looked at if their project was a comic or a graphic novel. I looked at the cost of both the digital and hard copy costs. Then I looked at the campaigns individually to see, if they had stuff like, sample pages on there, and if they had videos, even how many words they had on their campaign page, the number of updates they did. And this one is only just me, but I looked at, every campaign page individually, and I thought, does this look professional in my opinion? And what I mean professional, I don't mean like fancy graphics and stuff like that. I just wanted to see, if it looked like a campaign that, someone's taken a lot of care and time and consideration doing. And then what I did was, as well as, taking out the projects that were films and apparel and stuff like that, I also took out the projects from people that I would call named creators. I'm talking your Scott Snyders, your Jimmy Palmiottis, your John McCrae's, that kind of thing. Professional creators that are already working in comics that would bring their weighted audience with them to this platform, because I wanted to keep this, about indie creators, people doing their first campaigns, and, I wanted to do it from, as if you or I were doing this, from scratch. So that left me with, exactly 42 campaigns, including my own, to actually have a look at. So what did I find? Okay, so point number one was, did, not backing other campaigns hurt a creator's Kickstarter? I'm going to be honest with you, not really. In the case of the ones that I looked at that had failed, all the creators had at least backed, one or two or a couple. So that wasn't a factor that, I'd buy into, certain people will look at that kind of thing, but I didn't have any creators in that list that had backed none, so I had to rule that out straight away. Then I looked at the months that all these campaigns run, from the ones that were succeeded to the ones that failed, and there was no real difference between the months that any of these projects ran. The majority of people stayed away from, the December-January lull, apart from one which actually, was a success in December and actually surpassed their target. So the months didn't really tend to make a factor of this. So, as long as you stay away from that, that December and January period, that's going to benefit you in the long run when running the campaign, because you want to stay away from the holiday seasons. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting, in my opinion. Out of the 42 comic campaigns that I deep dived in and looked at, 31% of them actually hit target on the first day that they ran their campaigns, as shown in this pie chart by the red area that says 31 in it, if you can't tell. The dark blue area, which is obviously the 36%, are the campaigns that didn't actually hit target over the time that they ran for. But if we take out the campaigns that didn't actually hit target, that number of projects that hit target on the very first day goes up to 48%, which is huge. Okay, so what can we take away from this data that I found out? Well, basically, you need to decide what type of campaign you're going to be running. And by this, I mean, are you looking at this Kickstarter campaign to fund your entire comic? And I'm talking art, letters, colours, that kind of stuff. Or are you just using this campaign to fund that initial print run for your book? The reason why I'm bringing this up, because all of those projects that hit target on the very first day, apart from one, all of them had a target of £500 or lower. To me, as a creator, that tells me that these other creators are using those campaigns to fund the print run and nothing more. So if you're planning to fund the entire book, you are not going to hit target on that one day. And if this is your first Kickstarter campaign and you don't have that audience behind you, it may be worth, investing your own money and time in, paying for the art, the colours, that kind of thing, or at least part of it before running that Kickstarter, because you're not going to have that same momentum as a creative team that have been running Kickstarters for a time, because that other campaign that didn't have the £500 target, they had a £3,000 target, and again absolutely smashed it. I know personally that they have run other campaigns in the past, and each one is very, very, very successful, and they've used that momentum to parlay that into this new graphic novel, and it's worked wonders for them. So I think you need to bear in mind what your goals are with regards to your campaign. Also, I think you need to set your target to an achievable amount as well, and what I mean by this is, if you look at the campaigns that didn't actually get across the line, a lot of them were in the thousands, and as you can see by column B, a lot of them had either this was their first campaign, like myself included, or they had only run a couple in the past, so they don't have that audience momentum behind them to get their books funded, and they were looking at big targets, 6,000s, 6,000s, 5,000s, 5,000s, that kind of thing. So if this is your first campaign, I would set your target. Don't lowball it, but set it to a target that is achievable and that will cover the cost that you need it for. And this next one is probably the most important of all these 3 points, and that is pre-engagement, pre-engagement, pre-engagement. So what do I mean by pre-engagement is you need to prime your Kickstarter campaign a month, 2 months before it goes live. So you need to, if your comic's already finished, you need to get some reviews out there. You need to, get some mailing lists, get people excited about this project before it goes live. And you also need to tease the project, before it goes live as well, by utilizing, social media, that kind of thing. You want people to look forward to this campaign starting, and you want them on board, because you don't want to be starting on the back foot. You want to be starting on that front foot and have people interested in that project before it goes live, because when it does go live, you're going to get people backing it straight away. And that's it for this part, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that and found that interesting. If you have, give us a like, share, and a subscribe. In the next part, we are just going to jump straight into it. As I said before, no intro, that kind of thing. It's just going to be data, and we're going to discover why Kickstarter comics fail. I'll see you in the next one, and remember, if I can make comics, anyone can. Take care.